Hello and welcome to Indiepocalypse Radio, a show that has been gone. I've done it before in my entire life, and I feel like I don't remember how to do this show. Welcome once again. I think I found it. I think I found my footing. It feels like I have had a week off. I don't know why it feels like I've had a week off, but it feels like I've had a week off. But obviously I have not, or else I would have remembered. But anyway, my mindset aside, we are here with our first guest, who you may know from issue 13 of Indiepocalypse with the game PM of Black Lavender, Phoebe. Phoebe, hello.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. So I was supposed to just talk about it.
Oh, no, I'm just asking how you are. Hello.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. But no, you could talk about it. We could talk about this. We would start off with this question we have here from a guest from our previous episode, which is, what is the thing that brings you joy when you run into it while playing a game?
Wait, can you repeat?
What is the thing that while you're playing a game, it could be any kind of game, but what is like a specific type of thing when you run into it while you're playing a game that you, what was the exact phrasing? Brings you joy.
That brings me joy.
Yeah.
Uh, Let me think.
Okay. I will give you time to think. It could be anything. It could be a sound effect. It could be a certain kind of character. It could be anything.
I just think for like most of the game I play, I just think it's the feeling of like the thrill you get when you are uh doing something with an unknown ending. So basically, you're doing something in the game, but you don't know what's the outcome gonna be. But you're just still gonna try your best
Okay.
to do it. So the feeling that you don't know what is to come, and I think that kind of feeling is what I enjoy the most.
Right.
Also, I think maybe the satisfaction when you accomplish a certain goal in the game, uh, it makes me feel kind of like I achieved something great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So like the opposite of like I guess you would say like a very safe AAA method of like I know I'm going to I'm going to climb up to this tower, and I'm going to see all these little side quests appear, and then I'm going to do them, and I'm going to get experience points, and I know the end game I'm working towards.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So it's opposite. I like the things that are unknown. I think that's what's the most interesting about gaming.
Okay, and about your game, not about your game exactly right now, but let's step one step backward, which is, how did you find Indiepocalypse?
I found
Do you
okay.
remember?
So the the thing is, after we posted our game, we released our game on um Amazon. I forget the platform we released. Okay, after we released the game on Itch, um, uh, Adrian was just like, "Yo, you wanna participate in all these game jams?" I was like, "Sure." And then he
Right.
was just randomly like posting our game in various game jams, and that's when we came across this one. And yeah, yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Before this, I did not know about this at all.
No, that's the common case, and that's why I have to find out how people figured it out, how people found it. And I will never know unless I ask them. And the most often answer is, oh, I just clicked on random game jams on itch, and it was there, which I guess if I wasn't hosting this as like a fake game jam on Itch, I don't know what I would possibly ever do and how anyone would ever find it. But about your game, so you didn't make it for a game jam. Did you just was this just a game made out of the passion to make a game, or was this for like a project another project you had?
So I just graduated from New York University. The so when I was starting, when I started making this, um, we were trying to like make it as the senior project,
Okay.
but we also wanted to like extend it. So I don't want it to just end
Yeah.
after just like that. Just I don't want it to be just for that class. It was kind of it was a project that we always wanted to do,
Yeah.
but just never had a chance because we were really busy with other things. And suddenly I had time um, that I could dedicate to something that I really love, and that's why we really wanted to make this work.
Well, perfect because now I was you came as I think it was a rather early submission if I remember correctly, at least in my context of a world, you know. But also I was very much glad that it came out because there are real ebbs and flows with the zine in terms of like the kind of games that are submitted. So it was nice to have something like abstract once in a while when sometimes it's a lot of this is a game for mobile that you made like a mobile game where you tap on things and there's a puzzle and it has like the mobile game buttons, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
okay. No, you can go if you had something.
Okay, so I was gonna say, because we didn't expect it to be, so we released it on Itch because it's definitely something like you have to interact with. But
Yeah.
when we first started making it, we didn't really like consider it as just a game. We first made it as, and I think I have it on my description as interactive artwork.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
I use
knew
the
it was
term.
something that is like not common sense game, and that's why in a lot of other game jams we participated, we got really low score, and they were like, I don't know what this is about. Like it's a really weird game. I don't
Yeah.
know. And
No.
um, yeah, but it's not really a game. It's like I made it not like just as a game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad that I don't know, like people actually
Yeah.
appreciate it, and
No. Yeah.
yeah, you know.
You found the right audience in submitting there. Yes, I'm like a perfect test audience for like something that would I think even in my requirements I say I use the term game very loosely in terms of what is submitted to this
Yeah.
and I want people to submit just kind of like I want people to get abstract and kind of like test the boundaries of what interacting with a game even means or something, you know? And like
Hmm.
it doesn't need to have objectives or buttons or if you can win or there's something someone submitted I think is very cool. I don't want to say, wait, you know what? I guess it comes out for free. So someone submitted something that's like a choose your own adventure game, but it's like built on a bunch of different ZX Spectrum tapes. So it'll be like you play it and then you say like you pick different tapes. And I guess if it was actually on the ZX, you'd be like taking out your different tapes and plugging them in over and over again.
Hmm.
But I think it's very cool. I think that kind of like alternative play like input styles and alternative play styles are very like creates an interesting dynamic and I think I they're also completely unmarketable and nobody wants to buy
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
So I guess you're like if this is an NYU project, I guess you're getting closer to that point of like because there were no game design schools for a very long time or even game design courses. And now you're getting closer to the point where you're coming out of it as a game design art graduate, and you're like, I just made art that is not profitable, and how do I translate these skills into? Phoebe, how do you plan to translate your skills into creating like boxes for Ubisoft or something?
Um,
Oh, I guess like
I
what did you
think
like?
yeah.
What kind of major do you get? Like, do you just go under like a general game design major, or was like a specialization?
So my major actually just sounds really not artistic, I'd
Yeah.
say, because on my like diploma it just says I graduated from the School of Engineering and in
Okay.
major of integrated digital media.
Yeah.
So it's not. This is a very new major.
Right.
We also have it's a Bachelor of Science. We also have a really similar major in another school, Tisch, but that one is Bachelor of Arts.
Yeah.
So I think my major focused more on the technical specs of
Okay.
like digital media, and it's very general. So there was no such like it was not like a game design major. So it was
Right.
just like digital media in general. And so that's why, even though I chose the medium as kind of like a game or like it's more like interactive media, so it kind of fits like my major.
Right.
And yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
and
Cause
besides this, I also like do things with other sorts of media, I
okay.
guess. So not only like just programming games, but also like um just photography or like film stuff like that. That's what our courses are very
Okay.
very diversified. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So and like and those are also like interactive within the spaces, like the like interactive like film and photography in a way, or like the end result it creates an interactive art piece.
Yeah, I'd say because I think this major kind of gives you a lot of freedom. Like you can focus on whatever
Yeah.
kind of digital media that you really like. So probably people who graduate from this major can go into very different fields. So maybe you can go into film, like traditional film, or like me, I don't really like that. I just want to do something like interactive media. So that's why I focus on this part.
Now, how does now I games make sense to some extent because you can just host them digitally, but like how how does it feel with graduating to an interactive art degree into like 2020 where presumably a lot of the rest of the stuff is done like requires like physical locations to some extent, I'd imagine at least.
Yeah, I think I feel like I, I feel like physical. Oh my god, I don't even. Okay, so I think the major. This is a
Yeah.
very special time in terms of
Right.
that. Um, yes, a lot of things are done physically, but I think 2020 is very special because a lot of things are transitioning to the digital
Yeah.
space
Right.
because
Because
COVID.
right. Because
So
for,
I guess
for
it kind of helps.
for people who
It
work
kind
in
of helps me.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I guess because like the internet's the great equalizer because you don't have to like worry about competing for or paying for gallery space at that point because the internet
yeah,
is it's not free but it's a lot cheaper.
yeah, exactly.
So so have you done any sort of like have you tried any like I guess what do we call them like digital galleries or digital interactive spaces or that kind of thing?
Uh, not have I tried or like have I made any or have I like experienced
Yeah,
any?
I guess both like have or either.
Okay, so yeah, I've not. I actually before like settling with the idea of PM, I wanted to do like kind of like like a virtual reality gallery
Yeah.
um s- kind of stuff. So like that's what I really wanted to do, but that was too difficult, so I kind of give up. But I'm really interested in that kind of stuff. But I haven't tried making it,
Yeah.
but I've definitely experienced things like that.
Because everyone is just sort of like trying, just sort of like swinging for like, well, what can I do? What is my solution to this thing that does not have a solution? And seeing everyone's like different approaches to everything, I've found fascinating over like the past year.
Hmm.
Seeing how people can like find their own way to adapt,
Yeah.
if they can manage to adapt at all, or it's just like everyone's a Twitch streamer now.
um. Yeah. I mean, like definitely, like it's hard because it's changing very rapidly right
Yeah.
now. Like things are changing very rapidly right now. So like I think a lot of my friends who graduated at the same time with me or like graduated half 6 months earlier than me, like it's really difficult for them to find like any jobs. It's kind of awkward to find jobs
Right.
because companies don't kind of they don't need people right now. So um after I graduated, I just kind of tried to look for jobs that will make me go further into like what I'm really interested in. So like interactive stuff, like games,
Yeah.
other media, and yeah, I'm currently working in Riot. So I'm doing an internship in Riot,
Okay.
and yeah, I guess that's exactly what I would like. So I'm quite happy and satisfied and
Yeah.
lucky, I think.
That
Yeah,
sounds like of places to land. That sound you could find a lot worse places to land. A lot uncertain companies,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah,
Instead, in like one of the biggest game companies in the world.
yeah,
Especially because like I feel like they're like now they are just like what is we've spent like whatever a long time doing one thing, and now I feel like they've decided to do a million other things since then, like in the past
yes,
year.
yeah.
They're just like, so I mean, who knows what like they'll do? Like 2023 cannot wait for their movie, their film studio to create their own cinematic universe. This whole,
Yeah.
but no, yeah, I mean that's a plus. I think like fucking getting an internship is something within the games industry because every other job requires you to have industry experience, and how do you get it otherwise? When then
Yeah.
the internship being the one position that presumably doesn't require industry experience, but I haven't looked at every internship listing. I'm sure there's some miserable one where like our internship
Yeah,
requires
like
3 years of experience shipping 3 AAA titles for our internship unpaid. But I'll be glad to have the exposure and not have my game in the credits or something. But
it's very difficult because I actually personally like really like Blizzard, but like I applied to their internship and for like I don't know 2 years,
yeah,
like every year I kind of applied to their internship and they just rejected me. And they have really high standards for like students who are still at school, and they want them to be like like very high skill level at certain software or like lang- coding language, and I'm just like, how? But
right.
yeah,
Well, they're
like
expecting.
we're literally people who are like still studying and we have no job. Like, how you expect us to be already like, I don't
Right.
know, like
Expert level C.
professional? Yeah,
Well, the secret, Phoebe, is to have spent to be like a 35 to 40-year-old in college, so you already have 15 years of C++ experience from other jobs.
that's true.
And that's your trick.
Yeah,
Problem is,
exactly.
you went to school too early.
Yeah.
You didn't like start coding as a child. That was your mistake. You didn't just dedicate your entire life to working for the company. Maybe maybe in 10 years you can go back to graduate school and then get that Blizzard internship
Yes.
with all your
Maybe.
having shipped your AAA titles at that point, and then like, oh sure, now I'll let you. What is like what does an intern do? I guess is that just like a very like is it just like the equivalent of an entry level position?
Yeah, it's very so it's basically like these companies they don't want to spend money on hiring people anymore.
Right.
More they just like hire interns who can do like some tasks that are not that difficult to do, and so it sounds like they're like trying to train you and prepare you for a brighter future, but in reality they just want to save money. So you just go in there and then you work long hours, you try to do all the tedious stuff for
Okay.
them,
So it is still.
and that's kind of it.
So it's basically, yeah. What I thought was like you're basically a personal assistant.
Yeah, exactly. So it sounds like your title is something like I don't know, like a game design intern, but no, you're basically a personal assistant to another person, and
Right.
yeah, you
To
just manage all the tasks.
Yeah, it's just a man. It's a way to get you to be able to talk to a lot of people, which I guess is more difficult now. Because it's like it shuts down the number of people you can talk to, where traditionally could have been just like I'm in an office now, and now I can get all these people to like me, so they'll hire me later.
Yeah,
Instead, you are like luckily like maybe you'll get into a big Zoom meeting that has a lot of people, and then I don't know how to, I don't, I don't know how you do that, like that equivalent of like rubbing elbows with people that are above your station, so to speak, in order to get like your good
yeah.
name out there in the digital space where people only talk to who they want to talk to now.
Yes, I think it's much more difficult. But for me though, like I kind of I'm yeah pretty like I don't really that sounds so bad, but I don't really like to interact with people, and so I found it very like challenging for me to just like go
Okay.
work at a company and suddenly I have to deal with a lot of people,
Yeah.
and I think it's overwhelming. So nowadays, if it's just like Zoom meetings and they assign tasks to you online, I just find it more peaceful. It's
Okay.
like I don't have to meet people. Fun.
Right. Right. As it's strange as it may seem to someone who hosts a weekly like 2 hour radio show, I am similarly I'm not spending the other 6 days constantly talking to people. I am glad to be by myself and
Yeah.
relaxing. And
Yeah.
just like I don't need to be on all the time. Even like I feel like there are occasionally like a week or so where it's like I reply to people on Twitter and I'm like, this is exhausting. I don't want to do this. How does everyone have the time to do stuff like this? I don't. I have so much to do, and then like
Yeah.
to be online too. It's so much work. I don't have time. I don't. I got other stuff to do. I have other projects to build, other things. I don't know. Yes, what I'm saying is I understand fully the desire to not be on 40 hours a week and have to like not want to like instead just like people recognize your name and be like, oh, she did a lot of like good tasking for me. That's a good task completer. We should
Yeah.
we should have Phoebe on as a paid task completer, a full-time paid task completer. And I mean, at a big company, you don't need to be like this huge multidisciplinary professional. You can just be like, I'm very good at doing bug things or something.
Yes.
I'm very good at play testing. I'm very good at whatever. Listen, I have no sense of like. There's probably so many people working at a company like Riot. I have zero sense of like what the entry level position even does, especially
Hmm.
on like a technical end.
Um, like I say, like for like a big company like this, you don't really do much stuff that is in actually like what you learned or you're good at. Like they're not they don't trust you. Like they don't trust you to give you the actual
Right.
like tasks. They don't trust you to so you can like you can't really like just suggest an idea. Like you don't actually design the game. They
Right, right.
design the game. You just be there and you listen to them.
And you make sure
And
it works. And it's not like, yes, they're not, yeah,
yeah,
they're, right. They're lead
and
programmers,
I
right?
think yeah, it's it's like it's already better for a company like Riot because it's at least it's a gaming company. But if you're working for something like some of my friends are doing, like working for like other companies in like huge companies like Goldman Sachs, like
Right.
those kind of companies, like you like really don't get to do much stuff. You literally buy people coffee and you give them coffee. Like someone told me that's what all they did kind of
Right. Like
during
that.
the internship. They didn't really learn much.
Yeah,
But I
that
think
is,
I guess for me it's a little bit better. But
yeah,
yeah.
that, right. At least your tasks presumably somewhat connected to like programming or, you know, digital design and not fully just I'm getting coffee, I'm getting lunch, I'm getting food for people. And plus,
Yes.
luckily, they have to find ways to give interns work that aren't getting food. Because what are you gonna do? Go on DoorDash for them and order food?
Yeah, right. Right.
We want some pizza. Could you go to Phoebe? Could you go to the Domino's site for us and order us some pizzas? Just like at that point, just do it yourself. It's faster. Because then they have to like give you
Yeah.
their address and everything, which is a lot weirder, I think. So I guess in a way, they're forcing interns to like actually learn to some extent,
Hmm.
or I guess they could,
Yeah.
yeah, giving them skills whether they like it or not. But that's, yeah, that's, it's a big world, and who knows? There's like indie studios everywhere now, so some people can like, I think there are indie studios, like, that weird middle ground at that double A, if you will, or single A, that are, like, have interns now that I presume take on more like workloads. But also there's like
Yeah.
actually indie
I think
companies that hire people.
yeah, I think actually it would be more fun, or more like you would be more actively participating in like important stuff in the studio if you're working for like a smaller one and you actually get to do stuff. So yeah, but the other problem with smaller studios is that it's kind of really hard for them to, how do you put it? It's like really difficult for them to compete with the triple A companies.
Right.
And it's just like a really difficult situation right now because even if you have like a game or something that is really good, really prominent, and you're kind of like successful, if like there are possibilities where a AAA company will just kind of like take over your studio, kind of like that.
Yeah, yeah, because I
And
mean, even if you are like looking for a job after the fact, even at indie studios, like what looks better, like that you had an internship at an indie studio, or you had like an internship at Riot, you know?
yeah, exactly. Of course, it's gonna look prettier on your resume that you interned at Riot,
Yeah.
but to be honest, I think you learn more stuff if you work at an indie studio, or even better, if you just have an indie studio. That's
Right,
what I
right.
want to do. I want to have a studio.
Yeah, just like if you have like a portfolio, like here's my own stuff that I made, and I already have here's
Yeah,
everything. Yeah, and like, anyone can make an indie studio. You can do it right now. I would say more people have indie studios with logos and names than they do indie studios with games they've actually made.
Mhm.
So you're like 5 steps ahead of most people at this point.
Yeah, kind of.
I yeah, I sometimes get submissions where it's like you have a name, you have a Twitter account for your brand, you have all these things, and you have a fancy logo, and it looks like you spent more time on that than you did your game. And it's like
Yeah,
it's good to actually make something once in a while.
exactly.
I think it's
Yeah.
I think at least I'm also not like a company with money, so you have to take I'm a real fringe case even if I had that, but to me, somebody making a game, even if it's just like Phoebe.itch.io, here's my game. I just have my name. I don't have anything approaching a company, but I made a game. I'm like, oh, that's far more interesting than like the illusion of, I don't know, pretending you're a company.
Yeah, I think so too. And also, it's very rare that you have time and energy and partner
Yeah.
that can focus on one project and like really work on it and not have to worry about how to live.
Yes, yes.
So
That's the
yeah,
trickiest part.
yeah,
The part people forget about art after all said and done is you also need to like still live in a house and eat food or like get the closest approximation of those as you can.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a real messy world out there, and people got to do what they can to get by. So,
hmm
um, as we are approaching the end already of our half hour, Phoebe.
Oh,
um,
that time flew.
yes, it's just like I found that it's like wow, we're already done, and then what do we do now? We just go on to the next one, and then like after 2.5 hours is already gone, and I didn't even realize it. It's now daylight savings time, so now I'm like, oh, it becomes dark now, like mid show or mid first interview. But as we go out, as a fan of Blizzard, what would you say is what was your first Blizzard game, and what is your favorite?
Overwatch.
Okay, first and favorite.
Yeah, because the thing is, I did not know about. Okay, so I wasn't even like I don't think I considered myself as a gamer before
What?
I
No,
first
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to
before
disconnect you from this
yeah, I
call.
did not I was not interested into gaming at all.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
No, yeah, before maybe second year of university. Wait. Oh no, first year of university.
Okay.
I,
No, I.
I think something like that. But the first game I played was League of Legends, but I sucked. So later, I only played that game, and no matter what people tell me, like people are like, "Oh, you should try this game," or "This game's fun," or "This
Yeah.
game just released." I'm just like, nah. I'm just gonna continue being a loser in League. And
Right.
one day, Adrian was like, "I'm not gonna play League with you anymore. So can you please play Overwatch with me?" And I said no. And for my birthday, he forcefully bought me Overwatch. So it kind of became that I had to play Overwatch, and I just found it very boring in the beginning and very difficult. But then suddenly we were just so addicted, and every day we played Overwatch
Oh,
nonstop.
perfect, perfect. I mean, I think people need. I think games needs like a more people with like outsider perspectives. I think that's how you get things like PM in the first place. It's
Yeah.
like not people who grew up with the games are obsessed with games and obsessed with making capital proper noun video games. But Phoebe,
Mhm.
glad to have you. We're gonna go to break now. Thanks for being here. Goodbye,
Okay.
everyone. We'll be back. Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. I am here with my second guest, the aforementioned Adrian from the previous segment. Adrian, hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, perfect, perfect. I have a question for you, and you may have heard the question from the previous segment because we only got two
hmm
questions from our previous guest last week, and that question is, what's a thing that brings you joy when you run into it while playing a game?
Oof. Okay. Um,
You've had time to prepare.
yes, I had time to prepare, but my mind is very slow. Okay. Um, so I enjoy games that give me like more things to explore. Like I can use more of my imagination to like mm, maybe imagine more scenarios than what the game offers.
Okay.
That's what I enjoy. I also like, since I'm kind of a artist, I look at art design a lot,
Yeah.
and also the general stage design of things.
Okay.
That's what I enjoy. Yeah.
Okay. So what you're saying is you want to bring back fixed cameras so we can like really do like meaningful layouts in games again and like properly stage them.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
sure, sure.
it was presented like a joke, but when I played, like the last time I played a game with a fixed camera, I was like, oh,
Hmm.
you can do really cool stuff with this
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you know what a scene's gonna look like.
I also enjoy like when it's like you can see stuff outside of the fixed camera too.
Yeah.
Um, like those like YouTube videos where you can like kind of hack the game and see all the like stuff that put up like all these beautiful sceneries, and it's just like some weird textures everywhere.
Right.
Um, yeah, I enjoy that part. I think it's just like really great. It's like live theater, like
Right.
it looks pretty on the stage, but outside of the stage is absolute chaos.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. It's like the illusion of the film soundstage. It
Hmm.
looks 2 feet over to the right is like a craft service table, just like people lying around. But everything presented like front and center is like everything you need to see, and it's beautifully set up. Yeah, I saw a
Hmm.
game once at Indiecade East that was like very deliberately designed like a stage play.
Oh, nice.
Like it was one of those like those are real things, right? Rotating stages. That's not something
Yeah,
I.
yeah.
Yeah, so it was like actually one of those like rotating. They had it designed as if it was like a rotating stage, so that's how they would move to new locations.
Oh, wow. That's lit.
I don't know like what the game was. I don't remember what the game was called. Whatever became of it,
Okay. Oh,
or
rotating stage, not like a stage that rotates, but like
yeah,
I'm sorry.
there's like it's on like a carrot like on like a stage on a carousel. So like instead of like I would be in like the warehouse stage, and then like after the scene happened there, the carousel stage would physically rotate, and you would see like the warehouse would go away, and then you would be like in the forest.
Oh, cool.
I think it, and
Oh.
obviously I think it also had like more stuff that would come in like the foreground that would just probably just like magically appear,
Mm-hmm.
or just be like
Oh,
shunted in off stage. But I
lit.
wonder what I don't know what ever became of that.
Well, that's what happens is, well, most indie projects, right?
Yeah, right. Because everyone's like, we have to spend 30 years making our game perfect, and then
Yeah.
they give up at year 10, or the money runs out, or they just like
Oof.
that's the
Just like,
problem. You got to work on small scales.
yeah, it's very easy to burn out, I guess.
Yeah. Well, because there's no this. I've to get a glimpse into my emails I'm sending during the pre-show. Like even like on small indie scales, there's a gulf between say offering someone $150 for a commission and someone who is like, I was in Indiepocalypse and I got $20 and that's the most money I've ever made on an indie game, and someone being like $150 is very low for a commission, and I'm like, both of those are sad and true.
Yeah. I wish I could get $150 for my art. Damn.
Well, that's okay. So the complicated thing is that I'm as people who follow the project know, I've started in this year commissioning people, and I see a lot of
Hmm.
people. I'm like, oh, these people are awesome. I should. Then I like look at the like their online presence or whatever, their social media follows, and it's like 20. I
Hmm.
was like, the point of paying for people is that I'm technically paying for advertising or something, but I'll probably give that up soon. Honestly, I'll probably be like, this sucks. I hate doing this. I will just like, I want to pay this person, this 20 follower person who makes cool stuff instead, and who cares if it doesn't get me like attention. It's
Oh,
complicated.
that's really nice of you.
Got to do
I
something with
think
that
it's
stimulus check.
uh
But anyway, so are you also a recent graduate?
yeah, sure. I graduated a semester earlier than
Okay.
Phoebe. Yeah, we actually are not in the same school. Um, uh, I just joined her project.
Okay.
After I graduated, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Perfect. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I also graduated a semester early. No, I did a year, but that was because, listen, I recommend if you're going to college, just like depending on your colleges, you can probably take, this is a PSA for everyone out there, college level equivalency program, or whatever CLEP stands for. You can pay like $20, like $50, and it covers like an entire course worth of credits, and you can cut an entire year off of your college for like $200.
I recommend not going to school in the USA.
Yes, also that.
It's so expensive. Oh my god.
Yeah,
I'm actually a Canadian, but I went to international school like to the US, and it's
yeah,
so expensive. I'm
right.
like,
No, I even in high school, it blew my mind that people would like travel outside of state to go to another state school. And granted, I live in like Massachusetts, which is like fucking peak college state, you know?
oh,
So it's like there's colleges everywhere, and I think most of them are considered good. So
that's
even
cool.
state ones are kind of cheap, and like to go all the way to like Missouri State, it's like shit, dude. That's so much money. You have to pay to live there.
Um, I was like a hardcore, like I'm gonna do art
Yeah.
kind of person, and I was like, Canadian art schools suck. And like, I'm gonna go to America.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of American art schools, famous ones. The aforementioned
Yeah,
Tisch, right? That's
yeah.
primarily an art school, I think, right?
I have no idea.
Me either. Whenever I've heard Tisch referred to, it's always referred to as like artists or film. So I think it's an art school.
Oh, cool. I have to think
Tisch
about
is
like
in my school. Tisch is the Tisch School of Arts. Yeah, it's very famous for
Okay.
film.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. No, thank you. I often tell people that this is like, consider us to be at a table. So if you had something important to tell us and jump in, you are free to do as such. But yeah. So where did you land on, if you don't mind saying?
oh, my major?
No. Which school did you land? Which
Oh,
prestigious American art school did you land at?
prestigious American art school. Yes, I went to MICA,
Okay.
Maryland Institute College of Art. Yeah,
Okay.
I should have went to New York, honestly. It's the same price, but like New York's more fun.
Right.
MICA's
Yes.
like in Baltimore. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
I.
I'm sorry about shitting on Baltimore.
No, I have no. Listen, Yeah, I think America feels like it has. Listen, this is a weird ass country where it feels like sometimes there's only two cities, even though it has like so many cities. But
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe in 5 years, Baltimore will also be an art city, or if it isn't already, and you just don't know about it. I feel like there's like, it's probably cyclical. Like, as rent goes down, artists. Yes, yes. As rent goes down, artists flood to cheap cities because art doesn't pay any money,
Yes. Oh my
or it pays a
god.
lot of money. One of the two.
Yeah. You are either really rich or really, really poor. So
Right.
that's great. I have a deep resentment and love for the whatever you call art scene and whatnot. But
Yeah.
you know,
Right. It's like, are you someone who's like getting patronage, and you're selling your paintings for millions of dollars, or are you like paying for gallery space that nobody comes to?
Yeah.
And it's real feast or famine. If only there. That's why I'm trying to like. What if there was like. So what art background do you come from? Like what would you say your primary sort of like I guess discipline is? What would you say?
Discipline. Ooh, I don't know actually. I studied fine art.
Okay.
Um, which means that I did a lot of paintings in school.
Yeah.
But after school, I kind of just like started doing fan art and stuff digitally, like a
Okay.
lot. Yeah, because like I was forced to move because of COVID, and
Oh.
yeah, I left a lot of my art equipment, like art supplies, like in Baltimore,
Right.
and it was sad. But
But
yeah,
also,
digitally it's fun.
but then I guess on the flip side, how are you going to it's harder to sell a painting online when nobody knows to look for your paintings.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
even have like gallery spaces or any like physical spaces to work with.
Mm-hmm. Well, now you have a Tumblr or something.
Right. Yeah, and from my limited convention experience, fan art is how people make the big bucks.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They go like, what anime is popular right now, and then they make 30 pieces for it, and
Yeah,
then
that's true.
they're like, buy my OCs as well, please. buy Here
uh,
I have my mini comics that I spent a lot of work on. They're
mhm.
very personal, but they're like, I want the Demon Slayer art,
Yeah,
please.
I want your.
I don't know if I'm out of touch if that's too old now at this point.
I have no idea. I live under a rock.
I
I was gonna say Naruto.
I but is Naruto evergreen? I don't know.
Oh my god.
I have yeah, I am now when you say you live under a rock, do you mean that you just like are just outside of pop culture and like experience like find art on your own terms, or do you just like not do anything?
Oh, I just don't do anything. No.
Okay.
Um, I basically, I don't know. I just like am in a weird circle of things that like are not popular, I guess. Like my
Oh,
tastes are just kind of not popular.
yes. No, I
Yeah.
that is something I understand. I remember somebody said at one point like when you're like into stuff that's not popular like or that kind of like that old-fashioned hipster mentality is like
Ooh.
a very lonely one because nobody likes the things you like even if you enjoy them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, wow, I really enjoy this thing. I even if you're like, oh, I think I'm better than other people, it's like to what end? Who are you gonna tell that to? Nobody cares.
Yeah. So I draw fine art of like the most obscure thing in the Western world, and
Okay.
it's just like, man, I wish I was like into like Demon Slayer or some shit.
Right,
Uh,
right.
Gotta make
Which,
some bucks, yo.
yeah, right. Listen, you don't need to be into it. You just need to go type Demon Slayer into Google
Ooh.
image search and be like,
Oh my god.
I could do this. I could draw this. It's,
Oh my god. Once I did like a 5 minute sketch of like Mob Psycho, and it
yeah.
got like the most reblogs I've ever had
that's
out of everything. Yeah.
that's how it is. Like people like the thing. That's that's the secret, isn't it? It's like you have to
Yeah.
draw things people know until eventually your OCs become the thing people know.
Yeah. Ugh, it's
It's
the
like
big ladder.
it's just like a
Ugh.
vicious cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And then hopefully like 5 years from now somebody is drawing like this is my Adrian's character who I like so much. I'm drawing them because nobody cares about my characters.
I feel
But
that.
I've definitely seen that cycle, of people like
Mm-hmm.
you know, you get famous making your Persona comics, and now you parlay that into just eventually doing your own art that people pay for, and that kind
Mm-hmm.
of thing. And it's like, oh, it's a tough life out there.
Yeah.
What is your what's a piece of obscure art that that you wish was ultra popular,
Oh
so
my
people
god.
so people you could finally talk to people about it. Or you could
Well,
post art of and
honestly,
get a million likes and reblogs.
honestly, German Austrian musicals.
Okay. So you're like, you're just waiting to like you've got your animatics ready to put up on YouTube, and you're waiting for them to light that fire, but you're like, I wish people just shut up about Hamilton already. I have other musicals.
Oh, that's true. I mean, okay.
I listened to that album one time, like, oh, this is fun, and then I have forgotten about it since.
Honestly, there are a lot of Asian followings of like those like obscure musicals,
Yeah,
but in the West, it's like non-existent.
right. No,
Yeah,
like
that's so weird.
I feel like for as much as like I feel like there was like less of a monoculture for a very long time. It feels like it's coming back real strong,
Hmm.
and I think like social media and the algorithms have like they've put in the hard work and they've reinvented the monoculture. So now everyone has to talk about whatever the Marvel TV show is now or something.
Oh yeah, some stuff I don't know,
Yeah.
but
What are some choice German Austrian musicals?
oh my gosh. Oh no, this is a wormhole. Okay.
Okay. Listen,
Um.
I've got this radio show is a welcomer of wormholes.
Oh God, um I'd recommend Elizabeth das musical. It is the last like oh shit. 1 second. I gotta put up the wiki. No.
Okay.
Okay. It's it's like Empress Elizabeth of Austria. Um like she's the wife of Emperor Francis Joseph the First, which like kind of like her last she kind of symbolized the end of the German Austrian Empire or something like that. I don't know. Like it's weird,
Sure.
but it's very cool. It's like she Death is a character there, and like she kind of like has this love hate kind of relationship with Death, and
Okay.
it's like all like a whole thing, and I love it. It's fantastic. Okay,
What is the name again, real quick?
it's Elizabeth's Death musical.
Okay. I'm just like typing things in real quick so I can. Now is that all in
What?
Is that in? So is that what language is that in? It performed in.
It's well, it's German.
Yeah. So is it just? And it's all presumably performed in German.
Yeah, there
Now,
are the languages of it, but like mostly German. It's cool though. There are like English subtitles and whatnot.
okay. Yeah. So how do you watch this then? Is it just like online?
Sure, you can buy DVDs too.
Right. Okay. Because like I was just thinking, how does one get into German Austrian musicals?
Oh, mostly like, they have official DVDs, and there
Yeah.
are some people who put out like subtitles, like probably on YouTube and stuff.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I see. I found the one. It has been around for a while,
Yes.
and it has gotten around as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not to the U.S. though. Kind of like everywhere else. The last place it was in Seoul.
Yes. It's pretty popular. Just not popular here for some reason.
Yeah, I feel stuff has a hard time. I think sometimes penetrating, the Western culture, especially like the
Mm-hmm.
U.S. in particular,
Yeah.
or like it only comes over when it's like very like if you if you're an American, it's very easy to think, wow, the rest of the world just makes like high art all the time because that's all that makes it over here. Because it's hard for, I guess, like popcorn cinema is like it's so vastly overshadowed by the Hollywood machine, and there's no one who's like doing the work to bring that kind of like just kind of like pop cinema over here and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because like why compete? So all that makes it over is like real art stuff.
It'd be good to have like a like small like cinemas with like lowbrow like movies and whatnot from like other places of the world.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool. There's one in Baltimore that I really liked, like that would do some like stage like those like live stage recordings and whatnot sometimes,
Okay.
and it's very fun. I wish there were more theaters like that.
Yeah. Well, I guess I wish those theaters will survive. And
Oh
like,
God.
yeah, that's the thing I'm worried about when I go like, everything's back open. Let me look and see when these concerts are coming up. Oh, all those theaters are closed.
Mhm.
They're like pharmacies now, or like who knows what they'll turn into. Just like
Mhm.
regular old corner stores. It's now a McDonald's.
Oh boy.
Or yeah. I mean, I feel like people have been trying. There's like they've been doing like I've seen a lot of theaters do streams. Who knows? Maybe they've done a stream this time. This whole like this whole year. They
Mhm.
just didn't know existed.
It's great because yeah, in a way, I mean, that there are more streams and stuff, like more recordings of it, because now it's more accessible for the general public rather than like, just a few that has the money to go to the theater or in
Right.
the right location to be there. It's like a lot of Broadway shows, like they just don't have any recordings, or like some of them don't have like a great recordings because it's like still in Broadway and it's gonna
Yeah.
be in Broadway for like 5-10 years or something. Um,
Right, and they want people to go to New York and pay like the hundreds of dollars to go see it.
yeah, but like it's so expensive. Like, gee.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I mean, imagine if you're in the middle of the country.
Hmm.
How do you see these shows?
Yeah, how do you see this? Or you can only find like bootlegs
Right. Because they're
and see
not
them.
like, oh, I'm gonna drop over $1,000 to see one Broadway show.
Yeah.
I can't imagine any of them are that good.
I used to go to New York and ride the like bus
Yeah.
for like 3 hours or something. Go to New York and then line up at the theater and whatnot to get like the tickets, and it's like $100. I'm like, oh, man, just
But I
can I
mean,
just yeah
yeah. Couldn't you just like buy a DVD and watch it?
yeah can I just buy a DVD and watch it? Whatever. It's not even like people say that live theater is like way better or something, but the thing is, live theater is better when you have a good seat.
Right. If you're like in the back, like behind a
Yeah,
pole somewhere,
yeah.
like yeah, you're not gonna. The
You're not
only
gonna see anything.
Yeah, yeah. That's why like I've never even like I have the same experience with like who goes to a concert like a stadium show seems really strange to me because it's like
Hmm.
just listen to the album, dude, at your house. The only venue
Oh.
I go to is like a relatively small venue, like an old fashioned theater, and it's
Hmm.
like sometimes you go upstairs if it's like a smaller venue, and it's like even tinier. And you're like
Ooh,
everyone's just like right there. Even in the far back, you're basically just like right there.
hmm.
And yeah,
That's nice. It's more intimate that way, I guess.
right, yeah. And it feels like you're more going to see a show,
Hmm.
but also that's like $40 and somewhere I can drive to.
Hmm.
It takes me a very long time. Similarly, I think what is it like? Oh, I can't imagine what it would be on bus. But I think it's like a 4 or 5 hour train ride for me to get to New York.
Wow.
Or maybe it's 3. I don't remember. It's been so long since I did it because I only ever went there to go to Indiecade.
Hmm.
And that show was always in constant flux. And then COVID. And
Oh,
no reason to travel anywhere.
yeah.
But anyway.
Well,
Anyway.
well, I
I
feel
fe-
like
Yeah. It's just
we
like.
should probably should talk about gaming. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
fuck games. Do you like video
Yes,
games, Adrian?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, good. Phew, you saved me there.
Phew.
I thought I always forget. I always forget about video games. I mean, I've been playing more video games recently because I like
Mhm.
tore through I finally got through my stack of comics, and I have very few films left that I try to
Oh.
make sure that I watch and read the things that I buy, so I don't feel bad about buying them.
Mhm.
But that's actually dwindling. So I'm like, I guess I can play games again. But
That's nice.
yeah, you can just play RPGs and just like speed
Yeah.
them up while I watch other things. Good old emulators.
Oh, that's nice. I used to play a lot of emulator games when I was young,
Yeah.
because well, I had no money
Right.
for like a actual console.
Yeah. And why get a console when you can get this computer that plays all of those games?
Yeah, it was like piracy. I was a
Right.
little pirate.
Let's Adrian, let's be honest. Who's all these games like who's reselling them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Who's got the rights to 8 Eyes for the NES? I don't even know. Nobody? And who's selling them? Nobody is. Who
Yeah,
cares?
yeah, all that. It's
Yeah.
cool. Well, I don't know.
So it's nice
I've
to
been
be
playing a lot of RPGs too.
Oh, so what is your RPG of choice at the moment?
Ooh, RPG of choice. Honestly, it's like I feel embarrassed.
No, that's fine. That's you're allowed. I can say some embarrassing games that I play after.
Yeah.
Here, let me help you out. I also, in addition to playing that, I also play Magic the Gathering and I play Final Fantasy 14.
Oh wow.
So
Lit.
let me pre-embarrass myself. I
Oh,
sometimes
I.
no.
Mhm.
What we say?
Oh, sorry, cut you off. No,
No.
I played a lot of Cyberpunk when it came out. I played
Okay.
so much, and then I played Dragon Age Origins again, and it's great. And I also played like Fallout New Vegas. I'm like just I don't know what I'm doing, but it's very fun, I guess.
Yeah, I'm playing like right before the show. I was playing the first Golden Sun. So
Oh, lit.
I am not like, well, because I have the DS one. I was like, well, if I'm going to play that,
Mhm.
I've been playing through. I had a time in my youth with my disposable income where I bought a lot of games, so I'm trying to play through them all,
Mhm.
or like play
That's
enough
nice.
of them to where I'm like, I've played enough of this game. I don't need to play it anymore.
I'd
Like
be
what?
like, oh, I should play this new game, and then I go back to play like Princess Maker or something.
Oh, okay. I one of these days I like. So I played like a little bit when I was. So at one point I went through my Steam library and did like a very like culling of my Steam library, where I was like, I played an hour of Darksiders 2, and I'm like, I never need to play this game again. And,
Mhm.
but I played Long Live the Queen, I think I believe is the what it's called, which I think is like
Uh-huh.
Princess Maker adjacent. And I've never played Princess Maker games, but people like them, and I'm fascinated by what they are because I don't think there's very many games that are stylistically like them.
Mhm.
So what I'm saying is that one of these days I'm gonna tell me about Adrian. What I'm saying is tell me about Princess Maker.
Oh, it's great. Used to play it on the DOSBox, Steel Xbox or whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, all that. But right now there's like a refined version on Steam right now of Princess Maker 2.
Okay.
Uh, it's basically just like you have a daughter, and also you get to marry her. But let's not talk about that, huh? Okay.
Right. Listen, a
There
game
is
can
a
have
route.
like parts that you don't like about it. You know, things are allowed
It's
to be
like,
good
oh,
and bad. Oh, wait a
yeah.
minute. I just realized that you said marry her, but like, is it you marry her, not like you marry her the verb? You know, like marry her off. Is that what you're saying?
Oh no. I'm saying you marry her, okay?
Okay, like you as her father marry her.
Yeah.
Okay, that's yes.
Yeah.
At first, I thought you were just talking about like a shortened version of to marry her off, and then I was like, well, I
Nah.
guess that's a little weird that you would do that
Oh,
and
come
like
on.
too much agency over this woman. But then no, that's even worse. That's even worse.
Yes, it's worse. It's an old Japanese game of a little girl. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, the style is really good though. It's really good style, and if you don't do the weird shit,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's a
Right.
good game.
Do you know which like port of that is online? Is it like the PC 98? Because I feel like that was one of those games that had like in that era where you could be on a bunch of different consoles and computers,
Mm-hmm.
and they all look different.
Yeah. It's the. I guess it's like PC 98.
Okay, or 88. Or,
I don't
see,
know.
I also don't know too much about Japanese computers, but I
Mm-hmm.
also love them aesthetically.
Yeah, me too.
Like just like the something about the color palettes and like the UI and
Yeah, that style is like really good.
it's
They
like
used to draw these like with like just the mouse, and it's like so crazy.
right. Yeah, just like and also like in absolutely tiny resolutions.
Mm-hmm.
I got the FF dot book, which is like the pixel art Final Fantasies,
Oh,
and
nice.
they have some pages which are literally just like 16 by 16 grids blown up, and it's just like pixel by pixel, like here's the character art,
Yeah,
and it's I
I
think
love those.
and has like the color palette on the side, I think too. I can't remember if they have the hex values. It would be very cool if they had the hex values. So it's like if you want to recreate the warrior for Final Fantasy One, here's everything you need.
That's lit.
I don't remember though. You might just have to eyeball it. But also like Ace Sprite and stuff has like color palettes you can load in.
Mm-hmm.
I have a very similar feeling for European. In
Oh,
Canada, did you have like European computers like the ZX and the Commodore?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay, so
Actually,
presumably not, or
yeah.
like not to the extent that they were like a household name.
I have no idea because I'm kind of an immigrant,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, so I immigrated from China like when I was like 9 years old. So I missed out on like a lot of stuff, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Like I guess
Mm-hmm.
like that very early computer era.
Yeah, the early computer era.
Yeah.
I actually use Sprite for most of the assets of PM.
Yeah, it's a good. I like it. I think it's good. And then
It's
and
very good. It's easy to animate.
yes,
Um, Easy to like change the resolutions and whatnot. It's very good.
and as someone who likes to work in like arbitrary resolutions and like color palettes, I made art like I feel like it's actually like 2 weeks old at this point. My last foray into making games, and I made a Garth Marenghi art in the ZX Spectrum because I had an idea, but I never got to yet. But if I say it aloud, maybe I'll do it. But anyway, as we go out, as we are approaching the end of our half hour already,
Oh,
uh, I've backed myself in this corner because I didn't have a question ready. So, um,
mm.
what is your favorite role playing game?
Oh no.
Or one of them. One of them. I also
I'm
like am
joking.
very hard pressed to answer favorite because I think there's a lot of mental math that goes into answering a favorite, or at least I overthink that
Uh-huh.
kind of thing too much. What's a
Yeah, me
favorite?
too.
What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Oh, a favorite?
Yeah.
I'd say Dragon Age because I played a lot of it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I like there's something in Dragon Age that I liked. I forgot what it was. I think it was like cut content where it was like if you like got into a relationship with a character, but then you broke up or got out of it, they would like talk about it, and I thought that was very cool. But because I think it's
I
weird that
enjoy.
like those like party based games where we can get into like relationships with other characters, but it has no story bearing. Where of course it would have like massive story bearings in like the context of a friend group if suddenly two of them start dating. But
Yeah.
that's enough of this rant. I could go on about that for a while. Instead, we're going to go to break. Thank you for being here,
Okay.
Adrian.
Thank
Goodbye,
you for
everyone.
inviting me. Bye.
Bye. Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. We are here with guest number 3, Alex Higgins, who you may know from issue 14, the most recent issue of Indiepocalypse with Danger Zone friends. Hello, Alex. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Glad to have you here. Same question. Or actually, here's another question. The second question I received, but I don't fully. I guess I get it. It's that old. Would you rather have hands for feet or feet for hands?
Oh God. Hold on.
Now, my problem with this.
Oh, hands for feet. Hands. Yeah. Hell, hands down. Oh God, I can't believe that's
Yeah.
a pun. Anyway.
Because my question with that always is like, because I feel like that's one of those old, like what ifs, or would you rather?
Yeah.
But
I think it's the kind of thing where, especially for creative people, everybody needs their hands, right?
Yeah.
But like, it's kind of thing. It's like, if I don't have hands, then I can't play music and make games and draw things. And yeah.
We should get more. If you're offered more hands, you take it.
Right. Yeah. Oh man, I could play 2 instruments at once. That's like a net positive. I can just like crawl around like some sort of crab monster.
Right.
And that'll be sick as hell. Yeah.
I mean, or like our monkey ancestors who still got those.
Right.
What if you had tails too? That could also carry things.
Uh-huh. Give me just like 6 more hands. Yeah.
Yeah, just more hands everywhere. So I can be like that really cool guy with the double neck bass, and I play both necks at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, anyway, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Plus, you'd be wearing shoes most of the time anyway, so it's like no one would even notice if you were the only person.
That'd be like a good setup for like a gag manga or some sort of like comedy, or like some sort of like comedy film where the person has their feet replaced with hands. They have to hide it for the entire story, and it's just a series of scenarios where it's like, oh no, the shoes are about to come off, and it doesn't actually happen. But... Perfect
for the artist who hates to draw feet.
Yeah,
but loves to draw hands.
Which is weird. I find hands more difficult. But
I've only seen like maybe one artist in my entire life who I think loves to draw hands and feet. And that is, do I remember his full? I don't think I remember his full name. It's the guy who does Blade of the Immortal. Is it like Hiroki Samura or something? I forget his name off the top of my head, or more like I think I forgot which vowels end which name.
Right.
But anyway, dude loves drawing hands and feet like all the time, and like he is very good at doing hand and foot acting. Which is also a whole other like talent.
Sure.
But anyway, so I got to ask you, Alex, the important question, I guess, that I got to ask people who always join Indiepocalypse. How did you find Indiepocalypse? So way back in the day, we'll say, not this most recent issue.
Man, I think it was a year when I originally submitted, so my memory's a little foggy. I think it was probably I must have just been through Twitter. I think most of my mutuals on, well, maybe not most, but a good like substantial number of my mutuals on Twitter are from the Glorious Trainwrecks community, and I think maybe one of them were just like, "Hey, people should submit to this." And
okay.
It's like, oh yeah, cool. And then the year since then, it seems like Indiepocalypse has started to become this sort of like institution, and there's our part of the internet where it just like keeps popping up. It's like, oh cool, that's still happening. Lovely, that's good.
It's an extremely bizarre experience for me to say to like read. Guess friend of the show Mela Santani like read one of his blogs and see like Indiepocalypse referenced in it. I'm like, weird that's, but I guess it is becoming like an institution.
Yeah.
And what I alluded to earlier was that you submitted to like the second or third one. You didn't get in, but this was also pre-waiting list, so I didn't tell people that when they didn't get in, it was because their game wasn't bad, and it's just because I can only have 10 games per issue. And I think either that I think it was the next issue. Somebody dropped out who didn't respond, so I go back to my past submissions, and I like. But you had removed your game from the jam, and then I think your website was still under construction.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, I had, or maybe, I don't know. There should have been.
And then I was like, oh, well, I can't find you.
Somewhere on. Yeah, sorry about that.
But then, like, when
I
I was,
appreciate your persistence, but
yeah, because then I was like,
I mean, my current website's very new, and my old one was kind of hard to navigate, where a lot of people don't notice like the games tab at the top of
right
it, and yeah,
and I think
it was
it
hard
was
to spell
literally
and
like
everything.
under construction at the time, but then I went through. I also have like massive playlists of like called to games to play, and I cycle through them for one of my handpicked games per issue, and one of your games was in that from like some other blog or something. I must have picked it up from.
Oh, that's funny.
And I was like, oh, and then I like, oh yeah. I always double check on people who like I couldn't find any contact point for them earlier to see if maybe they added something, and you had in fact added something, or your website was built, and I was like, oh, you have an email now, so I can just email you and say, hey, you want to have your game in here? And then you said yes, which was very nice.
That's very nice.
So thank you.
Been asked. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. No, that's really funny. I just like wanted to just clean up the itch page, and it's like, there's too much stuff in the top right corner. I'll just unsubmit from the
That's partial. Yeah. I mean, you are one of the reasons why I tell people now that please do not remove your game from the jam, or at the very least make sure so I can get that email later if you're on a waiting list, because you were gone for a year. Anyway, enough of that. Yes, you said Michigan earlier, right? Because for the game scene that your mutuals exist in.
No, Glorious Trainwrecks. Sorry.
Oh, Glorious.
Yeah.
Ooh, am I in Glorious Train? Am I in the Glorious Trainwreck circle too? I'm exciting.
I mean, I'm not as deep as some are. I think I've submitted to like 5 of their gyms. It's a funny thing where actually, speaking of Baltimore, after college, okay, full life story. Okay, so I grew up in and around Baltimore.
No, Alex, full life story. You were born.
Okay, here we go. And then went back to Baltimore for a few years while I was figuring my life out.
Yeah.
And at a venue, I actually wonder if Adrian's may or may not have heard of the Wind Up Space. It's closed now, sadly, but
is that a
but they used to have a board game night, and it was a sort of like combination, like music venue, bar, whatever. Okay. But they also had a board game night, and I met somebody there, and neither of us knew that we made games or anything. We just kind of hit it off. My friend Steven, who if anybody knows him online as Let Off Studios, that's who it was. And we just we friended each other on Facebook, and then he just posted about a game jam he was hosting on Glorious Trainwreck. It's like, oh, I make games, by the way. And it was like, oh, really? Shit. And then and that was like kind of how I started submitting to those jams. So
okay. Yeah, no, Glorious Trainwrecks is a beautiful thing. I think I love busted ass stuff that is like,
oh yeah,
that's like trying something,
Right. Yeah. And even nowadays, even though I'm trying to do stuff that's a little more polished, it's still,
sure.
it's still, it's a very dear. They have a very dear mission, and there's just so much. There's so many people there who I respect and who make just fantastic art, and
you can take the person out of the person can leave the train wreck, but you can never take the train wreck out of you.
Oh man,
I think that's the spirit. As long as I think the spirit of wanting to just sort of not necessarily worry too much about I think there's a difference between polish and safe,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think even when I think about some of the more explicitly trash gamey or train wrecky stuff I've made, there's usually something that's hyper polished in there. There's still craft that's applied, and especially I think even with like an aesthetic that even like in this like sort of the train wreck aesthetic itself, like you kind of like have to know what you're doing to make something that, you know, with like hastily drawn Microsoft Paint art or whatever, that is still readable and is still visually compelling. You know, there's still, there's so much.
Yes, I've played a lot of non-glorious train wrecks, I guess you would call them.
Sure.
As,
Inglorious train wrecks, yeah.
As games that have been submitted
Mm-hmm.
that are just like, yes, they're MS Paint art and they're just like, they play poorly, but they're just trying to make like, I don't know, Mario or something. But they lack the kind of like anything, and it's weird. And so I think like encouraging people that it's okay to make things that are not perfect and things that are, I don't know, bad art or whatever. It's good.
Right. And I think that way too, like it enables people to really focus down on like the one thing that they want to make good and really, deliver on that. Instead of just trying to like, instead of just like, playing some AAA game and be like, oh, I want to create that. And just trying to like, without really understanding, like each component.
Right.
Yeah.
It lets people make things that they want to make. Let their own self-indulgent garbage. Whether people should do more video game sketching. You know.
Yeah, that's really important.
Just like here's a idea I crapped out, and it's like it doesn't work, but maybe some of it informed something I'll do later.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing too when you're learning how to design games is that, like, I think especially when it comes to design itself, that, I mean, for one thing, finishing games in itself is a skill that needs to be learned and understood, and of course it helps to just like, the way to learn how to finish a lot of things, to start a lot of things. But there's also an extent to which when it comes to design is that usually you kind of figure out what works and what doesn't within like maybe the first, like, I don't know, like week or month of working on something. And then you're just like kind of stuck with those choices and you really don't get to learn from them anymore. It's like you're kind of locked into your mistakes and it's just like so much. I think you can just grow so much faster if you just like make, 20 shit games and then like, okay, like now I really understand, how not to make these 20 mistakes instead of just learning how to not make this one mistake. And
games feel like they're the only art form that doesn't have like that kind of like practice you see like off to the side of like that clearly exists in every other artist is clearly like not just spending their whole time making the one thing, They're doing a lot of practice or just a lot of noodling around on just like unrelated projects.
Yeah, and I'm thinking a lot too about my experience in college, or even though my primary major, I mean, I went to school and left undergrad with a degree in political science, but along the way I had a sort of identity crisis and I was like, maybe I should pick up. So at the time, okay, I mean, some context. So this would have been like, 2011 and 2015 was when I was in college. So, and so we didn't just have, so it wasn't like a straightforward games major. It was a games and animation major. They had combined the two. And, it was relatively small, relatively new program, not very many professors handling the games part. And I sort of got the impression, and maybe Phoebe can, second this, but that they really don't sort of emphasize the sketching and the iteration the way that you do with like other art forms, like when I've taken like art classes or, learn music or whatever, where it's kind of thing where we have like one design class, one sort of here's how you make a game class, and then you just have these two capstone projects basically.
Right.
And so like, okay, you've gone from school and you've only made 2 games, which is like cool and good, but but it's like so weird. But like, most of the games that we made just like weren't very good because it's literally only your first and second game. Like you wouldn't do that with like, visual art, it's like, oh yeah, this is my first and second drawing. It's like, you did it with crayon when you were 4, like.
We,
And sometimes like, I mean, people, this isn't to say that like, good art doesn't come out of that. And there are a lot of student projects that of course grow into, really wonderful stuff.
But it's also not like, but I'm sure that those students are also doing like a lot of other stuff in the background, in their personal
right,
time.
exactly. Yeah.
We could ask Adrian later, but imagine a fine arts program where you made 2 paintings in 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a very. So I guess what I'm saying to all the game designers out there is whatever engine you work in, start up a new project and just call it sketch.unity or whatever, and just go in there once a week or so and just noodle around and just like play with stuff.
Yeah.
And just like see what you can make.
Yeah, that's good. 1 hour game jam's good. I haven't done it, but I have friends who do that, and just a really good way to just try out stuff.
Yeah.
Now,
what is your? I assume I couldn't remember from the store page, but I feel like you work in RPG Maker. Am I correct in saying such?
Not primarily, actually.
Oh.
Actually, Danger Zone Friends is the only complete game that I've made in RPG Maker. Actually, I use Game Maker Studio for almost everything.
Oh, okay.
I started using Game Maker when I was 12, and I've just gets the job done, even though it's sadly gotten more expensive since then. But
right. No.
But
as a fellow game maker
mm-hmm.
user, yeah, it's like if you're not making 3D, why not?
Even though I've also made 2 3D games in Game Maker, which is pain in the ass. I don't recommend it.
No,
learn Unity, but unless you really your heart's set on it. But
right. But if you're making an RPG Maker gets a lot of the busy work out of the way for you.
Right, and that's the kind of thing where I just, for the longest time, okay, back into life story.
Yes.
I mean, having started publishing in quotes, sharing games online by like the late aughts, sort of the time when the modern indie scene was sort of growing up, and sort of encountering all of these large freeware games that are made by like 1 to 2 people. So like, the Cave Stories and the EGs and, Off and whatever, games like that, I was kind of inspired to be like, that's what I should do. And, sort of, tradition lives on games like Undertale, and as like, okay, like one day I'm going to, make this, it's going to spend a couple years to make this big, multi-hour long game by myself and create this masterwork. And I tried that about like 2 or 3 times. And I mean, it's a terrible idea. I mean, and especially when I talk about the examples I brought up, I mean, emphasis on the 1 to 2 people, and most of the successful projects required that second person. And and part of the problem wasn't so much just time and energy, but also just I think, again, talking about, what we were talking about before about iteration, where I was just growing. So I was like outgrowing my projects very quickly, where, like I was improving as a game designer, like every 3 to 6 months. And here I was working on this project that was going to take years. And, it's just like, I don't want to work on this anymore. It's like, it's crap. I'm better than this now. So it's the kind of thing where, when it came to Danger Zone Friends, I had for the most part like given up on the dream of like making anything that was like relatively large. And then one day my partner just asked me, like, hey, why don't you make a game for my birthday? I was like, oh, cool. What do you want? And she was just like, oh yeah, like, cute animals in it. And I was like, okay. And she was playing, a lot of RPGs at the time. She played a lot of Pokemon and just being in Persona 5 and everything. So I was like, okay, this is a genre that she's familiar with, and that. So, okay, I got like, RPG Maker in a bundle forever ago. It's like, boot it up again. And lo and behold, like I made a relatively, like, I made a RPG. It's this kind of thing where, part of me for a while did feel a little bit ashamed about the fact that, this is one of the few games that I did very little,
Right.
Technical programming for, where, the programming languages I was familiar with were, the GML, JavaScript, C
Yeah.
kind of thing. And Ruby is just like, the syntax is just, if you're used to those other languages, like, it's gibberish. And,
Yeah.
I
No,
wasn't going to learn a whole new language for one game.
Right. I looked at that before, like, oh, maybe I could do something in RPG Maker would save me time, but I'm like, I don't know. But then I ran up against the walls very quickly, and then I looked at
Right.
Ruby, and I was like, I don't understand Ruby. I barely understand this C++ derivative GML. I'm not a programmer.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, so it's the kind of thing where at first I felt a little bit of shame. I was like, oh, it's like just an RPG Maker game. Yeah, but it's the
Right.
kind of thing where it's like, if it weren't for this tool, I wouldn't be able
Yeah.
to tell this story and make this game at all. And I think it's really cool that this technology is available. And even if it is, even if the menu system is identical to literally like thousands of other games that exist, it's that's not what people remember it for.
No.
Hopefully,
Alex, let me tell you, as someone who plays a lot of, just RPG Maker games,
Mhm.
there's a lot of really bad RPG Maker games, and like
That's also true.
your game does not feel like an RPG. Your game is a game made in RPG Maker, not an RPG Maker game. And I think there's an important distinction sometimes.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
For whatever that RPG Maker laid, an idea that I want. One of my pet projects. I invent a lot of pet projects when I get too good at making Indiepocalypse, which happens more often than I think. Is that I want to make an Exquisite Corpse RPG Maker 2 game. RPG Maker 2 being for the PS2, where I want people to mail memory cards to each other and work on a month at a time.
Oh, that's hardcore. I think there was actually a Glorious Trainwrecks jam that, obviously not that hardcore because it's using, an actual like PC version of RPG Maker, but where they did an Exquisite Corpse kind of thing and everybody collaborated to, a game. But that'd be really cool to just like, go to your mailbox and open it up and find the memory card in there and have it. Oh man, that would be so cool to be a part of an undertaking like that. Have that physicality.
Do you have a PlayStation 2, Alex?
My mom has it.
Okay.
And I've tried to get it back from her, and I mean, I haven't tried very hard, admittedly.
No, I'm just like this. It's one of those things that I have to keep mentioning it until I can start like locking it down. Because yes, the beautiful dream of like, you're at like an anime convention and someone's like, dude, you have that RPG Maker memory card? You got that save file, dude? And like you're just like a bunch of people bring a PS2 to conventions to like copy that version of like, which version do you have? I have like the May 2021 version. No, I got the September 2021 version.
And it can't exist online because it's on a PS2 memory card. And I mean, somebody probably figured out a way to do it, but the point is that doesn't happen. And,
and like,
oh man.
The tools to be able to do that are like more complicated than most people would be able to have. Yeah, I love the idea of this shared thing.
Yeah. And to have something that like kind of exists and that kind of like, that's more.
I was inspired by
real.
There's, I hope they still exist. There at least was a group of people in Japan who would buy up old like Famicom RPG makers and just play the games that are on them.
Oh wow.
And have like little like playing parties of like, let's see what like this 7-year-old kid made before they
kind of like the like the equivalent of like buying old VHS tapes, like home recorded ones, and see what's on there.
And I was like, that's very cool. And I like the idea I love the idea of found art. One of the few bots I follow on Twitter is like one that scrapes like that home movie footage from the Internet Archive and makes like the little GIFs out of it. Because I like that like small. It's a perfect combination of just like things that nobody cares about, but that exist, and also life was always very mundane, and it was not just like the 50s weren't our flattened idea of what the 50s were.
Sure.
But aside from all that, I like the idea. Mentioning that 3 to 6 months. So that is actually where Indiepocalypse was born out of, was me going through that exact same cycle that you had.
Uh-huh.
Where I have like, here's an idea, I have to spend 1 to 2 months on it, and it's like,
Right.
this sucks, I don't want to spend this long on it. Well, what if I sold a 3-month-old game? Well, nobody buys games like that. Nobody, like,
Sure.
you might have people go, wow, these freeware games are good. And you might become a lauded freeware game, but I was like, well, what if I just make the thing what if I just whole cloth create that audience for shorter games?
Yeah.
So where you could like put out Danger Zone Friends is a little stranger situation as it was like originally created as a birthday gift, but
yeah, I didn't expect it to. I did not set out to create something as good as it is.
Yeah.
But that's what I ended up with, and I was like, I guess this is what I'm going to make people play now, and there's like kind of like a little bit of awkwardness there where like, having sort of like the dedication to my partner at the start and the credits is like a little awkward for the thing I've made that's been downloaded more often than anything else. But it's also like what makes it special,
Right.
and is the whole point. And the game just wouldn't be as good if it didn't come from that personal place,
Yeah.
I don't think the characters would feel as real. I don't think that I would have as much material to work with for the jokes.
Yeah, no, listen, Alex, if you can't enjoy your self-indulgent art, why would anybody else?
Sure, yeah, right.
And I think a lot comes from like realizing that somebody enjoys what they're doing. And I think you can feel that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, that's definitely a feeling when you can tell that the person who wrote the characters of the story like love them as much as you do as the audience member, like that sort of feeling.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that I play where I don't feel any life within them.
Right.
It feels like somebody's making a game to make a game for like a game's sake.
Yeah, when the source of inspiration is other games themselves. I'm thinking like back to some of the very first games I made when I was, in middle school, basically, and like most of them were like shooter games where you played as a dude who shot other dudes because that's what I was playing,
Right.
and like they're cute, and then again like kind of going back to like that sort of like doodle way, and there's like some like kind of like interesting like things here and there, like some of the old boss designs that I drew when I was a kid are like kind of interesting the way that kids' drawings are, but
Yeah.
but they definitely feel kind of soulless because they weren't coming from, or at least not entirely, somewhere personal. And it's possible for them to be totally impersonal, but it's not like the stuff I make as an adult where it comes from. Yeah.
Right. It's the kid version of drawing their favorite characters. So it's
exactly.
like,
yeah.
it looks like, this is kind of like a Mega Man, but like a bad version of it.
Right.
That has like a couple of cool kid drawings in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
yeah, no, exactly. That's a good metaphor.
wait a minute.
And it's usually not like the Pokemon or Mega Man fan art that your parents put on the fridge. It's usually the stuff that's like of weird zoo animals that you saw that day. That's the kind of stuff that speaks with other people.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it was not the important like kind of like art that's like, yes, this is the polished child's art that we can sell or something.
Right.
It's just like, I'm a kid. I liked Charizard, so I drew a Charizard.
Yeah.
But not in a way that's like, I don't know, like a kid art is unsurprisingly somewhat forgettable.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's usually like a slightly off-model version of the official art.
Right. Yeah.
But actually, I think, am I doing the math right? Are we at the... Yes, we are approaching.
Oh God.
Yeah, good thing I'm looking in the chat here. Not the Twitch chat. Nobody's ever in that, but I don't talk to them. So it's a two-way street, I like to think.
Mm-hmm.
that they come to listen and I come to talk, and nary the twain shall meet except occasionally. But so I was looking at our Discord chat and realized, look at the timestamps of when you were saying, when we were talking during the break. I'm like, oh wow, we are approaching our half. What I'm saying, Alex, is our segment is ending.
Yes.
But in a very roundabout way. When you think, I would use that roundabout way to think of an ending question. And you know what? In fact, I did. Which is, do you remember the name of any of those games or any of the characters from your childhood games?
I do. So I actually, I have some. So the first ones, so like some of the earliest ones, and actually they're on my old website still, and my new website actually I still have to replace all of the links on my games page on my current website, so it still links back to the old one, and I have some of my earliest games there. So the first games that, well, not the very first, but the first ones I actually shared with my friends at school and whatever, was called Blaster Man. You played as a gray astronaut with a gun. You shot red astronauts with a gun. There are 4 of them.
Wow.
4. I mean, each one took maybe 15 minutes to get through, but
that's a series.
But yeah, no, it was a series, and there's sort of this implied story where, I mean, the first one you're just going around and killing dudes, and the second one, there's a secret boss where there's this bad guy with green armor and a sword, and he's the mastermind in the third game is kind of implied, and he's a secret boss there too, and then you finally beat him in the fourth one and whatever. But
I'm being honest with you, I love this. This is very like that. It's perfect child story logic.
Yeah.
It has all the drama it should have,
Yeah, but that's the kind of thing where just with a kid relating a story to adults, nobody else would get it. I don't think anybody else playing them would understand
right
that.
Right.
I mean, part of the most part, most of them when you can find the secret, every game. So each of these 4 Blasterman games, after you get to the end screen, if you click on the word "the end," it sends you to the secret boss, and so most people wouldn't find that. By most people, I mean the 2 friends I had in middle school who I shared these with. So
well, Alex, it was great to talk to you. I'm looking forward to Blaster Man Remastered coming out 2022. We're gonna go to break, everyone, and then we'll be back with the group chat. Goodbye.
Thanks.
Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio, everyone. I can certainly enunciate words after doing this for 18 weeks straight. Shit. But everyone's here. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So, I guess to go back and cover some of our previous bases, Phoebe and Adrian, hands and feet, where do you want them? Which ones do you don't want? Which is to say, feet for hands, hands for feet. Which would you rather have?
Definitely hand for feet.
Yeah.
Same.
Are you cooking? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I feel like the only thing you truly lose out on is you can't run really fast. But also our legs aren't built for that anyway, so we wouldn't have the right kind of legs to do that anyway, would we? Or arms, I guess.
Wow.
I'm on the computer all the time anyway. It's okay.
I guess
Alex,
the interesting question to ask would be,
yeah.
what would the advantages of foot hands be?
That's what I'm saying. I think there are none.
Oh god. You can run with 4 feet?
I guess if you fall over, you can more easily catch yourself and then just stand back up upside down and be less embarrassed. I don't know.
You can pretend to be a furry?
But a very specific subset.
It's really specific.
Yeah.
You can be very cool at a very specific furry convention.
You got the one true pause, and it's like, oh, their forefoot movement is so natural.
Yeah.
Alex, I gotta ask, what thing in the game brings you joy when you see it?
So I'm glad that I've had an hour and a half to think about this because it's a tough question.
Okay, I presume you have an answer then.
But yeah, and the thing, sort of what occurred to me is that, joy is such a rare emotion to encounter in games.
Yes.
Games are, of course, like very good at providing like, sort of like stimulation and, um, and stress and stuff like that. And when I think about the games that have moments that bring me joy, it tends to be the kind of stuff that, I mean, it's usually just mostly through humor.
Yeah.
I think. I think about like indie games, like Undertale and Butterfly Soup. I've been thinking a lot about lately. Which for people who are listening who don't know is the visual novel about Asian lesbians on a high school baseball team.
Oh no, I was
It's like
wondering.
the jokes are like hilarious.
Yeah,
but
what's Undertale?
um,
I'm not sure what that game is. So, is that
I
the
think it's
game
like
where
it's
there's
like
like
the
is that
Duke
like
Nukem 3D sequel.
okay.
Where no, hold on, that's not it.
Is that the one with like mice? Is that the name of the mouse platformer they made a couple of years ago that came out in PSVR? I think.
Man, I don't know why I was talking about how much joy it brought me when I can't even remember what Undertale is anymore.
Undertale is
Uh,
a game about like ant people who live beneath ground.
Okay.
it's coming
And
back.
yeah, and they had like a huge war.
Okay.
Like the red ants and the black ants, like they had a huge war, and you play as a human who shrink themselves into ant size, and you have to contribute to the war effort, or else you'll die.
I love these. Beautiful. But like, as on a more serious note, how would you describe? Like, I like the idea of describing Undertale as someone who doesn't know what Undertale is. Like, if somehow you have managed to escape, like the internet, I would say it's like, I don't know, one of the two games. I think Undertale and Lisa are the only games that capture like what Earthbound feels like. Out of like the tens of millions that like try to.
Sure. I still need to play Earthbound before I die.
It's a good video game.
Yeah.
Me too.
Especially since like people tell me that like some of my games are like kind of Earthboundy. It's like I'll take your word for it,
Yeah.
And I'm sure that I've gotten that like influence secondhand. That like the stuff that I've played that influences my work is probably influenced by Earthbound. Like I can see the genealogy. So I should honor my roots. Yeah.
Yume Nikki is also like influenced by Earthbound, I believe.
Yes.
Which is a big influence for me.
I've really been meaning. That's one of those games that I'm surprised I've never played, but I've really been meaning to play.
Oh, it's great.
And I learned recently that it just means dream diary.
Yeah.
As I was like, as I am going further into like being able to like explore the history of Japanese games and like communicate better with the Japanese indies, and I'm just learning the language. I'm like, oh, Nikki means diaries. I'm betting Yume means dream. And I bet that just means dream diary, and that comes to like, when do we and that's something I think about actually a lot, is like, when do we localize names and when do we not do that? And why does it bother me sometimes, and why does it sometimes not bother me, you know?
Right.
How do you feel about untranslated names that have like official English titles from any country?
You mean as the title of a work, or
Yeah, that like, but it's still like culturally known as like whatever. I mean, the one that only upsets me the most is whatever Attack on Titan is called, because people call it SNK, and SNK is that game company. So I always think they're talking about like Terry Bogard, and they're not.
Mm.
And it always lets me down.
I think it's annoying when the earlier bootleg version, the bootleg translations are different than the official translations.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, that's really annoying because I have to wrap my mind around it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's like better to not translate it, because if you translate it, it sounds kind of weird.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, I enjoy things in both languages easily. Like I have a copy of Fellini's A Dolce Vita on my shelf, and I'm not going, you should be calling it The Sweet Life. But also, it's like I watched Seventh Seal, not whatever fucking Seventh Seal is called, and whatever its original title is. So it's like, when do you translate things? When do you not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Why-
and I think once. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you can go.
Yeah, no, I think once, either the original author or the translator has decided that it's going to be, for example, Attack on Titan and not whatever the Japanese name is, then as soon as other people refer to it as the Japanese name, it's like, okay, now you're just at that point it's just sort of becomes I don't know, power move might be a strong word, but
Right.
you're just kind of like, oh, well, I know what it's actually called, and
Yes. the
oh, you call it Attack on Titan. Oh, you plebeian.
Yes, I speak in the Queen's English. Shinji knows whatever. Yes, I have a vague understanding, but also Attack on Titan is a whole other thing. I wish I picked a better example than
Right.
that fucking thing that gets worse every week. But anyway, it's a mediocre show. It was always a mediocre show with characters it didn't deserve.
Honestly, the opening is kind of cringe. So I'm saying.
I have some, I don't know, but that's also comes to my broader feelings about a lot of I don't know, popular shonen manga, which is just their costumes, and I guess there's also a story in those things sometimes too, but not really. I guess what I'm saying is I'm an adult and those are meant for children. And I try to I feel like I mean, and I say that a lot, that things are meant for children, and I am an adult, and I think you can enjoy plenty of things that are, very all ages very easily.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
But also you can enjoy both things. And sometimes I feel like there were too many adults who only like children's stuff, and it drives me crazy. But that just might be what's popular, and it's just hard to nobody's out here talking about their art house cinema or whatever, because who's gonna, to go back to when I was talking with Adrian, who's gonna listen if you're talking about Elizabeth,
Yeah.
It's easier to talk about Marvel.
So, have you seen the new Marvel movie? Oh yes, the Marvel heroes, the flying purple man.
It's purple now.
Flying Purple Man is my favorite Flying Purple Man.
Yes.
I like it when he shoots the lasers at the other Flying Blue Man. Listen, I have complicated feelings about comic books in that I think a lot of them are bad, but that's whatever. Eventually I believe that our current comic book, movie, television landscape will eventually reach where written comic books is where interesting creators will get to make cool shows about Z-listers nobody cares about.
Mm-hmm.
And then the current big marquee titles will continue to truck along as they do. But whatever. Indie game podcast radio show shitting on most popular movies in the world. Nobody needs that.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just put that aside. Actually, I should check. I should refresh to see if we have questions. We do not. We have 0 questions. Does anyone have any questions for anyone else in the group? No. Good. Perfect. You did not need one, as no one else. It's impossible to know when we receive questions and like who is like very like got a real question-driven audience. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I think, look at this cast. This cast is a stacked cast. I'm gonna get so many questions, and then we get 0, and then sometimes you get like 15. I'm like, I don't know what guides it. I guess it's like cultural differences of the guests, like who has like a more like Twitch guest audience or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway.
so are the followings of each person, or so on and so forth.
Like what was truly the most celeb stacked show had literally 0 questions. And I was like, I don't understand anything anymore.
Uh-huh.
As much as like you can stack a show with celebs and you know how much that matters. But I don't believe in celebrities. So anyway.
Sometimes I feel like, oh.
No, go. That was me like giving myself a word to buy more time.
Sometimes I feel like I should join more communities with like maybe HEO or something and contribute to like these game designs more.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just like I'm scared.
Yes, I have my own Discord, and Indiepocalypse.com/Discord, and I barely contribute to it. I answer questions when asked sometimes, but I'm not like out here. Hey guys, so let's start a conversation about who played Genshin Impact.
Oh God.
What do you think about it? And let's get the conversation rolling. I don't want to do that. I don't.
Right.
I feel bad because I saw there was an indie, presumably a fairly indie studio who put out a video, and it was like a minute and a half of like people saying what were buzzwords. They did not feel like they were humans talking, and I guess like I don't know if that's a space. I'm just afraid that is a space, I don't want to go into that.
Right. Yeah. No, I think we're safe. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like much like with building a market for myself. I'll just build the space for myself. Then like I'll find people. I'll just pick the people I think have the right vibes. And just invite them on this show and just talk with them. And then eventually, one day, we can all go to conventions and be like, hey, remember a year and a half ago when you started this thing? And now I just want to go to conventions.
Mm-hmm.
I think all those covers would be very cool to show off at a table.
Yeah, and have like print versions of
the
zine out, and
Oh, that'd be great.
That was like my initial idea was like, how do you demo 150 games? You don't. You just give them a magazine and tell them to flip through it.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of funny. So the showcase group that like we do. So when I was talking before about my friend Stephen and I. So the two of us and later our friend John T. Moore joined us. We basically like would showcase at, and hopefully will again someday, once everybody's vaccinated, local conventions and festivals and stuff in the Mid-Atlantic, in Baltimore and Philly and around there. And and I think like the most we would cram onto our little like launcher program we'd make at our tables like 15 games, and like I think we figured out like once we exceeded that was like too many games to have demoable at the table. But and honestly 15 might be a bit much. I think 12 really is the sweet spot. But but we have a concrete answer to that question. How many games is too many to demo? Yeah.
There is, so in the local Boston scene, shout out to Chris Mayer, who like does a lot of good stuff with like Boston Indies and that sort of thing. He originally, when we talk about convention, like physical space. At this point, everybody knows pre-COVID. We don't need to say it anymore. I think as a culture, we are past that. But he would like go to like not even like game shows, like just places where people would sell art, and he would sell games. Like he would put like Steam codes on the back of floppy disks. And just like, here's a bunch of local games and like sell them. And I think more people should do that. I think you should, support your local scene the best you can.
Yeah. At our table, we would also distribute like discs that had like, the 15 games we're showcasing, and then some more that we made. And when I had some surplus discs, I would try to drop them off at like, coffee shop tables, like where people lay their business cards, if applicable, but that's kind of hard to find, institutions where there's horizontal space where I'm allowed to just drop a CD off.
But that's definitely like such a like a thing that you should do. Get outside of game spaces and like get games outside of game spaces.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure plenty of those games on that disc, people would be like, "Oh, I don't like video games," and then you're like, "Well, try this disc," and they'd be like, "Oh, I thought video games were all Fortnite." Turns out there are other things too.
It's also Minecraft, yeah.
Yes, they're also Minecraft.
Yay.
But yeah, no, I think there's a lot of room for people to just like grow the game scene outside of the game scene, which is what I'm trying to do with non-game artists for covers and secret projects. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing where just because it's so rare to explore games outside of the pre-created community spaces, that like it's kind of hard to imagine that. And as soon as you actually explore out there, it's like then you get all of your engagement, and returning to like the topic of showcasing, that's after having for years like released games online and like not getting a whole lot of hits, it's just like kind of wild. It's like I can just apply to these small conventions and they'll just accept us, and we get like hundreds of people just like playing our stuff and they're into it. It's like, what the hell, and I've sort of like fantasized, like I feel this idea of like whenever I release a game, like printing an ad out and like putting it on a light pole, the same way people do for like concerts and local shows and everything. It's like why not? But it's like, wouldn't that be like kind of weird because like nobody does that? And so like I've never done it because it seems like nobody does that, but that's kind of the point,
the pull tab is just a QR code for the itch page.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing is stopping you, Alex.
Right.
Like when you do these showcases, would you do them at like game conventions or like conventions that had game stuff, or would we just do them like literally anywhere? Like
it was a mixture. So we started at and Adrian might be familiar. I don't know if you're familiar with Artscape. If you're staying in Baltimore over the summer, but
I've heard about it, but I've never been.
Artscape is great. So it's a big free arts festival that's in Baltimore every summer, and it advertises itself as the largest free arts festival on like either in the U.S. or in the Eastern U.S. I'm not sure, and who knows if that's actually true or not. But and they have like a small games exhibition, and that's how we got the idea to start showcasing. It's like, oh, we should just do that, and so So we started at Artscape, and it was really cool. That was usually be like our main event. It's like 3 days long, and you know, a lot of the local like Maryland devs would like show up every year. It's like, hey, it's Greg, you know, and you know, it is really cool to, you know, because Baltimore otherwise like didn't have a whole lot of like a standalone local game scene. Philly does, which is one of the cool things about being here. That's a different topic. So yeah, so we do that, and then there was a nerd convention in like northern Maryland at Cecil College. That was like a 1-day thing. That was just like this community college just throwing its own little con, and that was like a small event that we would go to. One time we just showcased by ourselves at a Meadworks in Baltimore, Charm City Meadworks. And almost nobody showed up to that, but it was still just like really chill, and it was like a really interesting space. Like, you know, we put our laptops on, like they had like barrels that were out, and you know, that was cool. In Philly, there's probably our favorite event is, or one of our favorites. I think Artscape's my, you know, favorite, but like second is this in Philly in this printing space. We sort of, it's sort of just like a evening showcase where like you show up around 5 and it goes until midnight or whatever, and it's just you know, it's crammed as a party. It's the kind of environment I normally wouldn't like, but but it's but the vibe's very good, and it's kind of like different from the typical like nerd culture you get at these kind of things. I think it's sort of the general trends that the best events are those which aren't explicitly gamer events. Like Artscape's great because it's a general arts festival. You know, the thing we do in Philly is just like, you know, a bit like hipper than typical. Probably our I probably shouldn't like badmouth the specific event on air, but there's like one convention that's basically like, you know, sort of like a nerd convention for children.
Yes.
And that was kind of weird, where at every other event we've done, you know, people of all ages would play our games. But as soon as it's a kids convention, you know, we would have like a very similar lineup, but like the adults would stand back and only little kids would like come up and play our stuff. And it's like, you know, you want to like come and try this too. It's like, oh no, we're good, you know.
We don't play video games.
Right? Yeah. It's like bullshit. I know you do.
Yeah.
But but yeah, that one was just weird. Yeah.
I often dread having, like, nothing against children, but sometimes I make abstract games, and kids can have fun with them, but it's like they don't get the point. They're just having fun because the person's moving across the screen. I'm like, good for you, kid, I guess. But you also you don't have any money. You'll there's there was a flea market in Cambridge that like it was like $40 to attend, and you could easily break even. I feel like with like Indiepocalypse, I could more than break even at this point.
Sure.
But it's like that's my ideal kind of show, because it's like it's like an art thing where people are just like selling arts and crafts and that kind of thing, or like clothes. It's super cheap. It's 1 day. And you get cash, which is people need to realize you need to make money to live.
Cool. Like sometimes I'll just get like one like really precocious kid who'll like be at your booth for an hour, and they're like really just like breaking all the systems down in whatever game, and you know, and are really getting deep into it, or really trying to understand it.
I had that in TCAF at Toronto. And there was like one kid who's like, yes, she was like very understood what was going on. She's like, yeah, I like this. It's very cool, and asking questions. That's also like a very different vibe. Because like even as a comic show, it's not like it's not a Comic Con. It's like an indie comic show. So you also get a very different vibe. But
yeah, and usually if a venue's bringing like, you know, the kind of adult audience you want, then the kids are bringing with them are also the kind of child audience that you want, you know.
I admire you guys to be able to like go out there and like to do this like for so long and all that. I think it's very cool. I just want to say that.
Well, thanks.
Oh.
Um, I think it's very cool to like to be able to go to conventions and to give people the opportunity to like kind of communicate with each other, build like
Mhm.
communities or not. I don't know what I'm saying, but it's cool.
No, yeah. I mean, like part of
Yeah.
this was like the benefit of Indiepocalypse is that all the developers come with me to every convention, basically. You know,
Ah,
I'm bringing all these
Yeah.
games around.
No, it's the kind of thing where until you've started, like for example, in my case, showcasing, like
Yeah.
it seems like it's sort of like impossible, insurmountable thing. It's like,
Right.
oh, that's something that other people do, and then you just start applying, and people just like start accepting you because like generally, unless it's like a really large convention, like MagFest is I think like one of the few conventions we've actually gotten rejected from.
Right.
And yeah, there's a whole story there, but
Well, good luck.
But,
Good luck on MagFest. You outlive them. Or
are
did they come
coming
back? I can't
or
remember.
I don't know, or yeah. We'll see. But yeah, but it's the kind of thing where it's like, and then once you start doing it, it's just like, oh, like I guess we are. Yeah, like it's hard to imagine being welcome in a space like that until you
Right.
do it, and then you kind of figure out you fit in. So yeah, so I mean, if that sounds cool to you, like apply, just like yeah, like
But yeah,
showcase the
very much like look at your local scenes. And like a lot of anime conventions have like game sections now,
Mhm.
or like comic conventions, or they're the same. Both are the same thing sometimes. Yeah, like you said, I guess they're just like nerd conventions where nerd stuff happens. Where I can go get a signed photo of somebody who is in 5 episodes of Supernatural. But and this show is very much that our nerd convention's over, and now we're just hanging out after a long day of talking to people about games.
Mhm.
And I miss those hangouts.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I miss those opportunities to meet people for one night, and then because of the aforementioned, like to keep to myself, I just never talk to them again. But anyway, we're getting close to that 3-hour mark.
Hey.
So everyone, does anyone have any final non-plug statements? Any last things to get out?
Don't go to art school.
Maybe don't go to school. Maybe don't go
Don't
to
go to
school.
grad school. I can tell you that
Yeah.
now. Yeah. Don't do grad school. Don't do art school.
If you go to school, get a my advice would be go to school, get a degree in like some kind of arts or science. Get like a bachelor's in like economics or something, and then to go, I don't want to use this, and instead just make an indie game zine. But if you do go to school, this is my advice to everyone going to school: take CLEP tests. It cuts out so much money. My God, so much money. Like it saves you an astronomical amount of money, like a whole year's worth. And like if you're going to expensive school, that can be like what, hundreds of thousands of dollars or something. I don't know what expensive schools cost, but I feel like it's a lot of money.
Like
right order of magnitude. Yeah.
10,000
Yeah,
like a year or something.
Yeah, that's like you're saving yourself like even if you have to take them twice, you're saving yourself like nine like $9,990 or something. Or save yourself $9,800 by just taking what are basically English 101 classes in like a day instead of a semester. That's Andrew's money saving tip for you. But anyway.
And then use the money you save to buy Indiepocalypse. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yes,
Yep.
Give all your money to me because I don't know. Actually, I realized I may get money back, like a lot more money back than I was expecting from taxes, because I spent I spent a lot of money and did not make that money back. I say a lot, but like that's a lot to me, not like actually a lot of money. You can very easily do the math and see how much money I spent. But it's like $6,000, $7,000 or something, which in the grand scheme of people who have money is not very much money. But to me, it feels like, so much money. Anyway, but pay off your debts. The only reason I realized this months ago on a different show. The only reason I'm able to do this is because I spent years and years paying off all my debts and not buying much else stuff. But plugs. Let's talk about plugs.
Wow.
Enough fiscal responsibility. Alex, we'll start with you. Alex, what plugs have you got?
Okay, so as a grad student, I am working very, very slowly on games. I'm at the stage where I'm lucky if I have like an hour or two to work on something in a 1 to 2 week period.
I'm sure they've got games that still exist that are also still good.
Yeah, well, there's that too. So I am still working on a Danger Zone Friends sequel. So that will exist someday. I have like an hour and a half worth of content in there right now, and it is very cool. And let's see other stuff. Danger Zone Friends is very good. And I also made a single player trading card game last year called Card Games versus Literary Characters at the End of the World, that you can also, if you want the physical cards, you can buy them from the Game Crafter, but only if you like the video game version.
And where might one find all these creations?
Oh, that's a great question, Andrew. You can find them at alexandrah.neocities.org. It's pronounced Alexandra, but it's I gotta spell it correctly. And
right.
you can also find my itch page. I'm Alex Chiggins on itch.
Well, perfect. Adrian, what have you got to plug?
Well, I don't know. If you like my work and whatnot, you can find me in the woods, and I will give you a small gift.
Okay.
Of a drawing that you like or something. Okay, so
does it apply to any forest, or do you have to be like Appalachia?
Any forest really.
Okay.
Just call my name 50 times, and I will teleport in front of your eyes. And if you got interesting project that you'd like some artwork, feel free to contact me. That's it.
Perfect. Now, and how would people contact you if they were afraid of the woods, if they were scared to go?
Questions.
Well, they can go into the ocean and call my name 3 times.
Okay, because they have less time to breathe underwater. That makes sense.
Yes. I'm very considerate that way.
Well, thank you, Adrian. Phoebe, what have you got to plug?
I can't believe Adrian doesn't have me in his plan, because aren't we a team together?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I forgot.
Anyways, I was going to say that definitely I would do something. I think Black Lavender will come up with more content in the future.
A dating sim.
Because we find working with each other very very peaceful.
Yeah.
Unlike any other people that we've worked with before, when we work with each other, we never really fight. So I guess we're a good team together. So that, yeah.
Perfect.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Thank you, Phoebe, for picking up the slack when I let Adrian just fuck around. And that would be blacklavender.itch.io would be a place to look for that kind of thing.
Yes.
Perfect. Do you have any other pages on other websites, or is it just that?
I think that's our only page, right?
Perfect. Yeah, listen,
Yep.
you only need one page. Let's bring back websites. Right, me. Okay. Indiepocalypse.com. Go to it. Buy Indiepocalypse. If you buy issues 8 and 14, did I get? I know 14's right. No, 13. 13 to 14. You're very close to each other. If you buy that, enough of them, then I can pay these people some more money. But if you don't, then I can't. And I like to think it's nice to get that $5.74 royalty check in the PayPal mail. It's definitely fun to deliver. But if you have games you'd like, submit your game to indiepocalypse.com/submit. If you like it and don't want to think about buying it every month, you can just subscribe on Patreon. indiepocalypse.com/Patreon. You can get this show the Monday after it launches. Otherwise, you got to wait like a month to get the archive version. Or you get fresh delivered copies of Indiepocalypse every month. Or you can just say you like the project, but all the money goes to whenever you get charged for a month, it goes to that month's issue, whether you buy the issue or not. Help get the people to that break-even point, because then they make even more money. And I make less because it means I've got all my money back. And I feel good. And I'm like, who cares about it at this point? It's passive income, baby. I think I have other stuff. There's indiepockets.com/zine to submit stuff for the zine. I've got exciting stuff coming into the zine portion of it that I'm working on. People I'm talking to. I'm recalibrating or reimagining what that thing is, because I need to make new projects or else I get restless. And who knows how long it'll take me to make my Garth Marenghi ZX Spectrum game. I think that's it. I think I got all my plugs, my things I need to say. Bye, the zine. Thank you. We're going to go now, everyone. Phoebe, Adrian, Alex, I'm glad to have you on the show. Thanks for being here. Good to talk to you. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Thanks,
Thanks for
Cole.
having us on.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yay.
Wait, where's my... Oh, there it is. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.